program is part of the Scene Projects Podcast Network. The Scene Project features interviews with independent musicians, comedians, and artists from across the Midwest. Become part of our community and support local art wherever you are. Welcome into this exciting episode of Real Biz. I am your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today from Platinum 1911, Troy Perkins. Troy, welcome to the show.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks, Bubba, for having me. So excited to chat with you.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you could be here with me. I think what you do is pretty incredible. And, you know, I know that it's been a long journey to get to where you are now. So I'd like to start off with just giving you an opportunity. Give us a little bit of your backstory, and then we'll kind of pick it up from there.
Man, I've now been in jewelry, which is wearable art, for the last 20 years. Quick run through, grew up in Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arizona. Got my business degree from Northern Arizona in 3 years, did a year at fashion school in New York City at FIT, saw the second tower come down in person. That was crazy. Moved to UT or Austin to start my MBA at UT, dropped out of that, moved to Newport Beach to be a beach bum, found a bunch of jobs. One of them was a high-end training job where I trained professional athletes' wives and other rich people. One lady there was a jeweler, kept working for her company. It was called Jude Francis, two women. Worked there 6.5 years. A family friend then taught me the estate business. And at first I was reluctant. Who would sell old jewelry? Then once I learned it, I fell in love. And so I've been doing that about 15 years. Did take a job in there with a big dealer in town, but have been back on my own the last 6.5 years. And God's blessed me with so many things. I work really hard. I've got a wife and 2 kids, a wife of 20 years, a 15 and 11-year-old. So just really God first, family second, and then work. And I call, work is play, because I always enjoy what I'm doing, and I get to do what I want as well. So.
Yeah, your job isn't like the most awful thing to have to go to. As a former beach bum myself, I was in Venice Beach, 20 some odd years ago, busking with my guitar to babes in bikinis and the sun and the sand. It's a good life, but it doesn't pay the bills. So exactly. Really, I love what you said off the top there, right? Wearable art. And I think that gets glossed over in the jewelry business and a lot with, especially with gold and silver prices going through the roof now, that, it is an investment for some, right? But it's also art, and it is also heirlooms. And I think that's something we touched on in our discovery call as well, as these things that are passed down from generation to generation. And I know from personal experience, my in-laws, my mother-in-law, her father loved gold, and he always had gold rings and gold watches and things on. And these were coveted items when it came time, when they passed away, and those came down, not for the value necessarily, but because it was a piece of their father and something that was very memorable to them. So I loved a few things you touched on there. I would love off the top for you to just kind of talk about the difference working in jewelry as working for someone like a dealer and doing it on your own.
I mean, look, in my blood is entrepreneurship. So I've been meant to do it on my own. I did it on my own. When you work for somebody, look, that paycheck is nice. That paycheck is addicting too, because when you go out on your own, there is no, you are your paycheck. So it definitely is hard, and most people are afraid to not have that paycheck. As far as working, at the end of the day, you're someone's servant. And look, bosses can be great. So I strive to be a great boss. I don't micromanage. I just say, hey, here's the task, get it done. I really don't care how. But if you're not doing it right, and maybe, look, I have a couple managers where I put my foot down in a couple areas. But at the end of the day, I let that roll. Advice to employees, then show up 5 minutes early, leave 5 minutes late. It doesn't take a lot. Learn your job so well, and then ask to help out on someone else's job. So I just think as an employee, you have the opportunity to learn somebody else's business while you're getting paid. So there are a lot of positives to getting jobs. I've had so many jobs and I've learned so much in every different area. From I set up blow up bouncy houses. I've been a caddy. I've been a janitor because I made like big money. I mean, so you name it, I've literally done it. But then working for yourself, I mean, the sky's the limit. It's what you want it to be. So I mean, I'll work days on end and make no money, and then my jewelry sits, and I can make a bunch of money while I'm sitting on the beach with family on spring break. So that's where entrepreneurship, depending on your business, you get all the risk, but you also get all the reward.
And you get your time is your time and not someone else's. A big issue that I had, especially working in the factory as a welder, was, them coming up to me on Thursday and be like, cool, we're working a mandatory Saturday because we're behind in this area or that. And I was like, but I'm not behind. Like, I did my job this week and my kid's got a ball game on Saturday. And they're like, cool, well, you're going to come in on Saturday or you're going to take, a disciplinary point. And I was like, you can just give me the point right now because I ain't coming. Like, my kids come before this job every single day of the week, right? So I don't know who you are and who else you deal with, but yeah, if it means I get fired because I was at my kid's ball game, then so be it, man. I'm not giving up on that. That's factory work, right? And that's what, here in the community that we live, it's not in our town, but the town 30 miles away, it's all manufacturing jobs. And to just kind of see that world for me, because I had never really entered the workforce. I was a rock star, Troy. I was out and playing music and other things that led me down some different paths, but that I hadn't really ever worked that regular, consistent job, and I could see why. I never wanted to do it again. I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, as you do. My dad's owned his own business my entire life, a landscaping company, whether it was in the Chicago area or when we moved to South Dakota. He worked for a few years for a log home company, but that was even like an ulterior motive, was just to get the cheap logs and building so he could build his house that he wanted to, right? So I've always kind of just seen a different way of doing things. But something you touched on there, the jobs that you have had, and kind of the way that you talked about being a good employee, how has the jobs that you've had, say being a caddy, helped informed you now as a salesman and as an entrepreneur, owning your own business?
Well, actually, I would say that I grew up golfing. The caddy job was about the hardest job I ever had. So because you got to be paying it, like you can't space out, like you're paying attention, watching the ball ahead of the people. It's like nonstop carrying the bag. And I worked at a course, a private course when I was in college called, oh my gosh, I'm spacing on that, but it was very hilly course, forest something. But anyway, like we walked like 5 miles. So anyway, I would say that's the hardest job. Other jobs, I think what really hit me is as I delved into but now I've been in and I have a handful of other businesses and I've delved in so many. Most of the owners, and don't take this wrong, like they're not that smart, or they don't have something that I don't have. Maybe let's just say it that way. Like there's not some secret. The secret is hard work and taking action. I mean, I think that's it. A lot of people are caught up in inaction and they're caught up with busyness. I mean, if you look at your screen time report, if you have an iPhone that comes every week and you see that you're spending 8 hours a day on your phone and those aren't business hours, like what are you doing with your life? So if you take action and you're passionate about something, you will be successful.
And I think that's something that every successful person kind of repeats. If you've gotten there, it's not because you are necessarily the smartest person in the room. I think there's a certain degree of intelligence that everyone has to have that makes it to a certain level, but intelligence can be learned. You can learn by being in the room, and you're only in the room if you show up every day. And for business owners, we don't really have a choice. And I think some people get into business thinking that it's going to be like their 9 to 5. And it's more like a 5 to 9 or 5 to 12:30 at night, and then wake up and do it again and again and again and again, times maybe 20 years before you can actually come back and to say, no, you know what, I'm going to work 10 hours a day. And then I have to give my time to my family. And I think a lot of people miss on how much time it takes to become successful. Things do not happen overnight.
No, totally. I mean, someone may see me now and say, "Oh, look at you! You're just an overnight success." But then it's hard for me to even say, man, I started this 20 years ago in jewelry. Whoa, I don't feel that old. I feel still young at heart.
So I'd love to get in a little bit, the nitty gritty of the jewelry business. Obviously, with the increase in gold and silver prices over the last year has been absolutely incredible. Does it become harder for you to do your job because the prices have gone up, or is it a little bit easier because people are looking to get into the market, say in the last 12 months, as they saw the trends?
I'm in a unique spot being in secondhand jewelry, so I can make money kind of in a boom and in a bust, because when the economy's doing well, people are buying jewelry. When the economy's not going well, they're selling jewelry. So I can make the money on the buy. So it's really, I can work both sides. So with what you're saying and what's happened the last 6 months, year, I've really made a living on the buy. There's so much gold and jewelry coming. I'm able to buy right and kind of make a margin there. Now it's a smaller margin, but it's still a margin, and the volume is huge. So I think that's one part of your question. The other part is, hey, are people not buying? Yeah, this definitely weeds out the lower end of the market, and it kind of sucks, because if you say have $1,000 and you want to buy your wife a piece of jewelry in gold, you don't get a lot. It's a chintzy little necklace, a smaller ring, just because gold is so expensive. So this really puts it into the market of people that have more money. So for me right now, the $5,000 to $30,000 pieces are what's selling more, versus, because there's just not a lot for $1,000.
Well, exactly. And I think that's something that gets overlooked. And I'm very glad that my wife and I have been married now for 3 years, and that ring was purchased 5 years ago, because I don't know if we could afford the same piece now, just because of the increase in the precious metals. And I think that's maybe a part that gets overlooked in this, because we look at gold prices on the stock market, or in the markets, not necessarily stocks, but that we see that as just like gold bars, right? But it is everything. It's everything that gold touches. It drives up the prices of technology, because we forget how much gold is used inside of our cell phones, our computers, our tablets. It's more to our daily lives than I think most people would understand.
No, that's correct. Yeah, gold. I mean, gold is the reason gold's important, even in the technology side, is it has a wonderful conductivity, and it's very durable. So now I know in the technology side, they're able to make real thin layers, like very thin, and they coat things with gold. It still holds up, but it adds up when they're making tens of thousands of electronic devices a day. It adds up. You're correct. They're using that more. And I'm hearing in the silver market, they're saying they need more and more for the batteries and all these chips. I don't know what the truth is, to be honest. And I feel like a lot of these prices are manipulated by the big banks. I do feel with the US dollar now, everyone's talking about it being shaky, and a lot of other countries wanting to get off the US dollar. I think that's going to stop some of the manipulation, but the big banks still know how to dump the market so they can buy back in. So again, I'm jumping to another topic, but we're riding this roller coaster. It's kind of a crazy time.
Well, and obviously your business is in the jewelry side of this, but everything in what you're talking about, and maybe this other rabbit hole, it is very not just parallel to yours. It may intersect and interweave with what you're trying to do in your business very intricately, and can have massive effects on your business. So while it's not an end all be all, the price of gold for you, because obviously you're working with diamonds and these things as well inside of the jewelry, but it definitely has an effect on it.
Yeah, no, I guess, was in my head. I didn't say, I also buy and sell bullion. So I do a lot of gold trading in my business. So I have customers that want to put money into silver or gold. In fact, I just had a deal with 100 1-ounce gold coins. So if you can do the math real quick in your head, that's $500,000 of gold. So those kind of deals come through. I need to buy it at a small, a little bit less where I can sell it. So I make a few percentage points, but you're solving a problem on both sides.
Yeah, incredible. And I think most people that, don't have amounts of money like that aren't looking to invest into those things, although maybe they should, even on a smaller level, because now you've seen that if you would have
Yeah.
bought some gold coins a year ago, some 1 ounce gold coins a few years ago, you would have come up quite a bit. That would have been a solid investment. I had friends that were telling me to, and I was like, look, I don't have the $1,200 for an ounce of gold right now. So much less, now when gold is is it approaching 5 or over 5 now? I
It's
don't keep
over.
up
It
with
was
it.
it hit 52 yesterday. It pulled back to 51.50 this morning. Look, I do not. I am not someone that says, "Hey, you need to put money in gold." Look, gold doesn't make money. It doesn't pay a dividend. It only when it goes up, you have to sell it to make that money. So I definitely think it's a good hedge. I do have a lot of my wealth in gold, but it's mainly in jewelry because I can make a better margin than just the gold going up. But I love to encourage people on business ways. Hey, if you have like invest in yourself first. Once you have money, yeah, you should diversify with some of the gold. And look, because I'm an expert in the gold and the jewelry market, I do help people move in and out of it. And just so you know, yeah, coming up with $500,000 is hard for me too. Every day I'm hustling, trying to make things happen. And it's not like I'm working that to turn it just to make the deal happen.
Yeah. So I have a unique story with gold myself. I actually grew up in Leeds, South Dakota, where the
Okay.
Homestake gold mine is the largest gold mine in the world, now closed and has become the Sanford Fermi Lab. Where they're studying neutrinos. But we had a very close relationship when gold bottomed out in the late 90s and kind of dropped. And because they were digging down into the ground over a mile in some cases with these shafts, that the cost of getting the gold out of the ground for what they were getting just wasn't. It wasn't profitable any longer. And we do still have some gold mines out there in the Black Hills of South Dakota, Black Hills Gold. Being something its own sector, right? It is gold, but it includes a little bit of the copper. So I've grown up around it. I've seen the effect that gold prices can have on a local economy from the mining, manufacturing, refinement side.
Yeah, totally. Most new mines, it's gambling. Existing mines, like what you're talking about, it's a straight business factor. So if it costs, like if to pull 1 ounce of gold out, however that is, if it costs $1,000 an ounce to get it out, then gold has to be over $1,000 an ounce for it to be viable. If it costs $4,800 an ounce, it wasn't viable till a few months ago. Now that it's over 5, now they can start producing again. So, and of course, costs have gone up. Fuel is down, but the cost of labor is up, equipment's up. And then when they find gold in the earth, it's rarely in big nuggets. A lot of times it's like if you have 1 ton or 2,000 pounds of dirt, sometimes they're microscopic dots in the rock. They have to crush it all down, then extract it. So that costs a lot more. So gold, when we see gold doesn't come in like a fist-sized nugget. If it does, that's like crazy rare. Yeah.
Well, and we had a few big ones that came out of the hills in the, late 1800s. Deadwood's famous for the Potato Creek Johnny Nugget that I think was about this big. I think it was a 4 or 5 ouncer. A pretty it was massive, right? And in the late 1800s, they were just panning in the creeks. But the open cut gold mine, so it was all shafts inside of the hill. And then eventually it imploded, I think, in the 1970s, maybe. And then they just started just piling it all out, massive trucks that would drive down into this hole and drive back out. It's right in the middle of our town, Troy. If you ever come and visit South Dakota, I think you would get a kick out of going there and be like, I've probably touched gold that's come out of this mine. But then half of the town was the cyanide treatment plant, right? That would bring it out. They would crush it down. They would treat it with cyanide, all of the environmental factors that comes along with that spewing into, as much as they try to clean it. But yeah, it completely changed the look, the natural look of this town. And when the mine left, it left just as much of a change because when it left, all the buildings came down and the hole in the ground is definitely still there.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely want to check that out. I have bought and sold Black Hills Gold. When I see that, typically it's 10 to 12 karat, and it's like a tricolor gold. So they do it in yellow, rose, and white. That's what I know of. Maybe there's a company, Black Rose Gold, who started making that with like a leaf or organic design. And then speaking on the environmental side, I know now they use different methods where they don't have to use cyanide. They do different acid leachings, which are actually safer. But something to touch on what I do, I'm basically a recycler. So I put new life into jewelry. So I'm looking for these jewelry. If I can take an ugly piece and take half of it, maybe I scrap half, the other half I make into a new piece. So that's something cool that we don't talk about. What I do is pretty green to really help pieces, not only from the heirloom side, but also for the environment side. Like I'm keeping new pieces alive, where a lot of jewelers that I buy from, if I don't buy it, they're just going to melt it down. So I'm out there searching, or those dealers know I'm going to pay a premium. So packages are coming to me on a daily basis.
Incredible. Well, yeah, I didn't realize this about your business, but you're actually creating the jewelry, some of the jewelry that's available on your website as well.
Manufacturing is a real small part, but maybe I wouldn't call it manufacturing, but I create like we call it a marriage. I fix pieces, or I'll make it sellable. Let's say it's a big brooch, which is a pin that nobody's going to wear, and I'll make it into a pendant. Or I just actually took a brooch, and one of my customers said, "Hey, if that was a ring, I'll buy it." I'm like, done. So that's actually came back this morning, and it's now a ring, and she's going to come pick that up later this week. So we take things, so it may sit for years as a pin, but now that it's a ring, it's going to get on someone's hand and in their collection and put smiles on their face.
Yeah, that's incredible. And because of the pliability of gold, you have that ability to go in, is it re-smelting it that you would call to kind of melt it back down then?
Well, I'm not doing that. Like we're literally just taking one piece and then soldering another piece on it. Maybe we have to cut some other areas, but yeah, what's great about fine jewelry is it's all repairable. Within reason. Obviously gemstones, if you crack it in half, you can polish it, but now you got smaller stones. But most fine jewelry is all repairable. We can redo it. The reason I don't manufacture in general is you have all the labor costs, and people come to me for having that old jewelry or used piece because they're not paying for the labor. So they're saving that value.
Well, and because they mean something to them, right? These heirloom pieces that maybe came from a great grandparent, right? They may be passed down for generations, and they would like to wear it. They would like it to be something instead of just sitting in a box, maybe somewhere, or in a case that they could turn it into something. I think that's a very unique position that you have, albeit a small part of what you do. There's probably very few people that are willing to do that at all.
Yeah, no. At the end of the day, a lot of jewelers, hey, they're looking to make a buck. So look, if someone wants to manufacture, I will. I know other jewelers will. Where my experience of seeing so many pieces of jewelry, I can be straight up and honest with a person. Hey, we can do that, or you know what, that's not going to work. Your one question, because I get this a lot, people take their old jewelry and they want to take the diamonds from that, melt that gold down, and use that gold to make one piece. Now, at the end of the day, you really can't do that, because to melt one, like when gold gets melted, they do it like hundreds of ounces at a time. So to take your one little piece, it's just not cost effective. Now, I've done it before. I told the customer, hey, it's going to cost you $1,000 extra to do that. Most of the time, they don't want to do that. Some jewelers will just appease them. Oh, yeah, we're taking your old gold. But if I just take their old gold too, the alloy mix, it may not cast correctly, or it always creates issues. So
each individual piece is different in itself. We think of gold as just being gold, but like you said, the alloy are different. Some, the difference between 10, 14, 24 carats, right? You can't just mix it all together and it's going to be perfect.
Well, so 24 karat gold, everybody knows that's a 100% gold. Then you have 18 karat gold. Well, the fraction 18 out of 24 is 75% gold. So there's 25% other alloys, and different jewelers use it different. Now, 14 out of 24 is 58.5%. 10 out of 24 is 0.411. So that other percentage is other metals, copper, nickel, palladium, different metals. So every jeweler, every manufacturer used a different alloy. So that's why gold can come in different colors. 24 karat gold is always the same color. Other carats, it's lower. So if that helps explain a little bit about gold.
Yeah, it's a nice little tidbit in there for people who don't know, all their terminologies and what it meant, right? A lot of people know, uh, you know, 24 karat gold just from Bruno Mars, right? So there's, we all get our education from different spaces. Troy, what's your favorite part of your job? Is it the, finding the heirloom pieces and dealing with people that are maybe, looking to reclaim a piece, or is it, getting out, selling at, I know you were just at, a convention or I forgot what you do, a trade show rather. Is it the people part of it and the selling and bringing it out and seeing people kind of in awe of the pieces that you have? What's your favorite part?
Well, I'd say the best and most exciting part is every day I don't know what I'm going to get. Either a package comes in the mail or multiple, someone comes in my office to sell. So you just don't know. I get to see something new all the time, or I pop into a dealer's office and you don't know what I'm going to come across. So like finding something new every day, like literally I'm buying every 6 days a week, usually Sunday not, but sometimes I get a text and I buy by text. So that's probably the most exciting. If I had to flip flop it, the least exciting now is I've got 17 or 18 employees now. And so every day there's a fire. In fact, this morning, I just learned one of my employees had a car accident. So I'm trying to help him as he's, trying to get to work on Lyft and Uber. So I'm giving him a little bump here to help him on that. So that's just one example, but every day, that's probably I wouldn't say I don't enjoy it. I want to help people, but it's just never ending, like those challenges. So at least the excitement of seeing new pieces outweighs all the challenges.
Right. The problems that we forget about as a business grows. Sure, you get to make more money, but then you need more people, and with more people becomes more problems, and you have
Yes.
to be, kind of solve those problems as the boss. It is what we do. Troy, a thrilling conversation here with you. Want you to go ahead and plug anything that you want on there. We got the website scrolling across the bottom on here on the video version, but go ahead and plug the website, where people can find you and where they can bring their gold to.
Hey, thanks, Bubba. Okay, so platinum1911.com. I've got a couple thousand pieces up on the website. Beautiful pictures. If you're in the Phoenix area, you definitely need to schedule an appointment with us. You can find our contact there. If you've got jewelry to sell, you can email me pictures. I'll be honest, I can send you a label to send it in. If we can agree on a price, I can pay you immediately, whichever way you want, or I can mail it right back to you if we don't agree. You can find me on Instagram at platinum.1911. That's probably a great place to connect. I also have a slew of other businesses I'm working on right now. I'm in the car business. So I do buy and sell antique classic cars. If you have that, you want to toss my way. And I'm also in the gun business. So, Platinum 1911 is the most right now. And later on, I'll share all the tech businesses I'm working on. But I appreciate you, Bubba.
About to have your own pawn shop show, Troy.
I mean, yes, it could be there. I put off filming myself, but I know a lot of that's TV too. But we actually were in the works to do that with the last company I was at. We had talked to TVs. It's just I knew they paint everybody in the negative light, so no one.
Well, we won't. Maybe we'll start our own show here with the scene projects, and we'll get Troy some more camera time because you're great on it, man. Appreciate you spending some time with me this morning, and I appreciate you being part of the scene.
No, thank you, Bubba. Yeah, man, what you're doing is awesome. Keep out there, work hard, man. You're doing it. I don't have to tell you, but for your listeners who wonder, hey, man, how's Bubba doing this? He's putting the work in, and you're doing it, man. Great job.
I appreciate that, Troy. Stick around. I want to chat to you after we're done here on the pod, and we have some more talking to do. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Imagine capturing the raw essence of nature with its infinite color and beauty. Now, Envision turning that into something truly transformative. Pure and easy tea cultivates the goodness of nature's bounty into fuel for your body. We are what we drink. Pure and easy tea, the pure nourishment your body craves.